which is the center for regulation of the appetite, that will give you a better satiety effect, reduce the body weight, reduce the appetite. So very wonderful for a patient of type 2 diabetes. Even though not a very robust effect on insulin resistance, but now preliminary data is emerging that GLP-1 based treatment also reduce the insulin resistance to some extent, and certainly a very eminent effect on reduction of the hepatic glucose production through the alpha cell effect. So all these pleiotropic effects can be achieved by using an incretin based treatment. But there is a disaster. The moment GLP-1 is secreted from the L cells of the intestine, it is destroyed by this ubiquitous enzyme, what we call dipeptidase 4 inhibitor. So what we have to do, either we have to block this enzyme, or by doing some sort of molecular alteration, we have to prolong the half-life of these molecules, what we call GLP-1. And indeed, we can do both of them. If you look at the GLP-1 analogs, you have prolonged the half-life, in this case like liraglutide, and this is DPP-4 inhibition. What is the difference here? The difference is in the active concentration of the GLP-1. You are getting a physiological concentration here, and you are getting a pharmacological concentration. A huge issue for debate, whether our body needs a physiological concentration of GLP-1 or our body needs a pharmacological concentration. The consensus today is that if you want to have a robust GLP-1 effect, robust pleiotropic effect, this is much more desirable. The price that you pay is the gastrointestinal side effect and the cost of the treatment. You get a lot of gastrointestinal side effect, particularly nausea with liraglutide or exenatide, and they are prohibitively expensive. In spite of my total convincing evidence that GLP-1 mimetics are better than DPP-4 inhibitors, I cannot use them, because not even 1% of my patients can afford the cost of GLP-1 analogs. So, DPP-4 inhibitors, they also have the same effect. Why should they have different effect? After all, they are also giving GLP-1. So they are giving you the physiological level of GLP-1. They are enhancing the effect of the existing GLP-1 in your body. And God has sent you to use them, because GLP-1 normally in a physiological situation would give you all these pleiotropic effects to the extent which is desirable. So this is a very desirable molecule. What is the proof of this? The proof is that by doing the both alterations, either by blocking the DPP-4 enzyme, we have produced the entire family of DPP-4 inhibitors, and we have produced the entire family of incretin mimetics or incretin analogs. Now the question is, are they different? If you look at the mechanism of action, I don't think I need to tell this audience how incretin-based treatment works. They work by secreting GLP-1 and GIP. GIP is not very important from therapeutic point of view, and they give you the glucose-dependent stimulation and suppression, which I have already alluded to, so I will move on. And DPP-4 inhibitors act here by blocking this DPP-4 enzyme. So the topic which was allotted to me was understanding gliptin, setting the stage for the background of introduction of incretin-based treatment, and particularly gliptin. Now we have to answer two questions. What is common amongst all the gliptins? They are all oral therapy, and they all give you the GLP-1 in a physiological manner. And they have the efficacy which is almost comparable to the conventional oral anti-diabetic drugs.
The next session starts at 3:30. 3:30. I request Dr. Mujib Ashraf and Dr. B.K. Yadav please present the matter.